Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Marketing Chinwag. My name's Matt Thorpe from Grasshopper. I'm here with Paul Gully from Elevated Design, and we're here to just have a general chit chat about everything marketing for small and medium-sized businesses. Today, we're going to be talking about potential issues with social media and where people go wrong and mistakes and pitfalls. So hopefully it will be able to help you do the right things, not waste any time, and actually get the best results for your business. Good morning, Paul. How are you?
I'm good. It's nice to be starting this after we've been talking about it for so long.
It is actually, and it has been long overdue. So it's we've chinwagged about it enough. So it's time to do some action and start helping some people.
I think going with Chinwag's a good name as well. So we'll stick with that.
It is. So just to let everybody know kind of what we do, we both run our own marketing agencies. And Paul is primarily focused around the sort of social media and the web building side. And my side is more kind of on the Google and the lead generation side. So together we work on a lot of projects, which, for different clients, different types of businesses and all different industries and niches and of all different shapes and sizes. So together we make quite a good team, and we thought we'd share some of our knowledge with you. So today, as I say, we're going to talk about the kind of pitfalls of social media. So, Paul, can you highlight a few areas where you see that people go wrong in your kind of day-to-day workings with people?
Well, I think the first pitfall, especially small businesses when they're starting out, it's that whole we've got to be everywhere. Everyone needs to see us. So they try to maybe go on every platform. They start looking at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and then there's Pinterest, and what about Snapchat and TikTok and everything else. So I just think it's that whole, and then you get overwhelmed. It's kind of, they don't know where to start, so they don't start. So I think trying to narrow it down and maybe, like we've mentioned on various things, pick one or two to start with, especially go with one that you maybe know, and that you can use and you understand, and maybe use it personally and kick off with that. I just think, I don't know about you, I think a lot of people just try to do too much straight away. It's that whole running before you can walk sort of thing.
Yeah, I think it's, I think when people either start up a new business or they turn their set, they think, oh, suddenly, right, okay, and now I need to focus on social media. And it is that kind of spread yourself too thin and try and, like you say, try and be in everything. I mean, I see websites where they have every single social media link down the bottom. And then you click on it, and most of those channels are either empty or there's just like little, nothing going on sort of thing. So I think it is the excitement. And obviously, I know we spoke about this on something yesterday. It's important that you go where your audience hangs out. You have to realize where your audience actually hangs out, because if you're not promoting your business and communicating to where your audience is, it's falling on deaf ears effectively, and it's a complete waste of time. So if your audience isn't on Facebook, don't be on Facebook. If your audience isn't on Twitter, don't go on Twitter. Don't create YouTube videos for the sake of creating YouTube videos if it's not where your audience is going to be, isn't it? I think it's massively important. And then, even if you're only on one channel, if you do that really, really well, that's where you're going to get results.
Yeah, it's the whole time thing as well, isn't it? I think it's just making that mistake of trying to do too much, and just, you need to focus it down. And like you said, it's work out where your client base is, what's the main channel for them, and start with that one. Trying to spread yourself too thin, trying to post content across 4 or 5 channels and putting out the same stuff and not mixing it up and things like that. It's the whole strategy side is so key. Planning is everything, and if you haven't got a plan, you're not going to get anywhere. So
yeah, exactly. And just going, you mentioned the content. What sort of bad, or what kind of mistakes are people making on the content side that you see?
A lot of things, I suppose. Instagram's a main one, is that people forget that you can't put hyperlinks into the actual posts. So they'll paste in a massive link that it goes to a page on their website or a product or something like that. And obviously people can't click on it to go to it. So they're not going to copy and paste it. And if it's a really long web address, they're not going to write it down or anything else, unless it's something really, really interesting. But yeah, I think that's the key bit. Instagram's the one for that. I noticed a lot of people put links in there. Visit our page, and then you've got HTTPS, and everything else, and it's not clickable. So that's quite a big mistake. You just want people to click on your stuff. So using things in your bio on Instagram and using like Linktree and stuff like that is a really good tool. But yeah, Facebook as well. I think a lot of people forget that it's a bit more trying to get engagement. So a lot of it's just sales, and people switch off, and it's not about that.
No. I mean, the way I sort of tend to say, tend to kind of advise people on the social media side, and when I'm talking to them about their blog, for example, when they're talking about, what sort of things do I put on a blog? I kind of think about, tell them to think about it as a lifestyle magazine for their business, where, what sort of things are going on, what's new to the business, what new products have you got on board, how can you educate people about new areas, new things that should interest them, what customer stories can you read about, or just look at a lifestyle magazine and see how they structure it, and then think about all these different things that you can talk about your business, because you also need to remember that you're adding value to your customers. So it's not about you, it's about how can you improve their life, or how can you make your brand, make them realize that they need you. Because as I say, there is a lot of sell, look at me, I'm amazing, and it like people just switch off, don't they?
Yeah, and obviously you mention it a lot when you do your pitches at networking and things like that, about it's telling a story. So it's getting that the human side and the emotional, and tapping into that, and it's kind of especially when you're trying to build awareness and you've just started on social media. The whole goal straight away is to just get people to know that you're there and what you're about and why you do it and things like that. It's not let's ram our products straight down their throat. It's more a case of, hi, here we are. This is what we're about. This is how we can help you. And this is how our products help you, or our services. Things like that. So it's that whole, this is our story. That's a great starting point, I think. It's more about, this is our company, this is our story, and this is why we do what we do, and why we want to help people. And it's education and entertainment is the first points before you push them into that kind of sales funnel. That kind of angle that you're then going to push them to buy your stuff.
Yeah, because it's a bit like people, isn't it? You don't just say, if someone walked up to you in the street and said, do you want to buy this? You'd say, clear off, get out of my face, sort of thing. But actually, if a friend who you already know and you know their backstory and you know quite a lot about them, if they actually come up and said, look, I've got this new product that I want to sell, are you interested? You would listen to them, and the chances are you would trust them and buy it. So it is about opening up that door, inviting them in, getting that trust, and then eventually, warming them up and nurturing them, as we say in the marketing world, and eventually, hopefully they will turn into a customer. So when someone's starting off on social media and they're kind of trying to get exposure, what's the kind of problems you see with things like hashtags, and how, what sort of, because I see a lot of abuse on the hashtag front, where someone posts something and then they have about 300 hashtags below. What's the kind of issues you see, and then what's the best practice you'd say, especially for, I guess, local businesses as well?
Yeah, obviously, Instagram is all about hashtags. So you can have up to like 30 on a post. A good idea is always to put them in a comment after you've posted, so that you've not taken up the post with, you've got your little message, and then underneath there's literally 30 hashtags. Is like, do your post, and then once that's live, go in and make a comment as well, and then just put all the hashtags in there. It just separates it, makes it a bit better on the eye. But I suppose it's a one for me is where people, I don't see it quite so much now. People are sort of understanding a bit more, but where they used to hashtag literally like words within the text. So you'd have like, see our hashtag, services, hashtag this. And it just looked awful, and it puts your eyes off, and people are like, oh my God, what is that? But Instagram, I'd say always try and come up with a branded hashtag. So something snappy, that either your company name or something that ties in with what you're doing, and use that as your hashtag that you're going to put on kind of everything. Just have a look. Instagram's great. When you put it in, it will show you how many people have been using that hashtag. So how many times it's popped up and things. So mix it up with some that are quite big and maybe have showed up millions of times, but also then drill it down. So yeah, if it's about marketing, like if we were doing this, we might put hashtag marketing and hashtag digital marketing, but then you could put hashtag digital marketing Surrey or something like that, just to localize it. But yeah, and then you get the same where you go on Facebook and people have got tons of hashtags in the post on there, and that's not the platform for it. So it's kind of getting to know which one has got the different etiquette as such. So Facebook, yeah, you might only want 3 or 4 hashtags because they're still kind of catching up on that side of things. Same on LinkedIn, maybe 4 or 5. Twitter's now probably sort of 3 or 4, and Instagram, yeah, as you know, sort of have fun with it and go up to maybe 30 on a post, but separate it out.
Yeah, definitely. And in terms of kind of the types of content as well, I mean, we've already kind of spoken about, you know, the kind of lifestyle element to it and what things to post, but you know, there is a lot of noise out there, isn't there? And I see, you know, there is just so much going on. What sort of posts would you say, or format would you say gets the, you know, are people doing on a regular basis that just doesn't get any traction, and what actually gains the most traction? Because obviously people want to maximize their time and their efforts and everything else, and sometimes less is more, isn't it? But if you do it the right, you know, you haven't got to post, you know, 15 times a day, but it's just if you do the right create the right content and post it at the right times, then you can have more success.
Yeah, video is always the one. So if you're going to do anything, then look at doing a couple of videos a week, even if they're only like a minute long or something like that, and just get your personality across and show kind of what you're about and your enthusiasm for your product or services. That's going to grab people's attention much more than loads of fancy graphics and things like that to begin with. I always err on the side of less is more. So even on the graphic side, keep them really simple, and maybe just have, you know, a little bit of text on there or just a heading or something like that, and then put the info in the post. It's just like a sort of attention grabber rather than sort of seeing people where they've got a graphic and it's got loads of text about everything that's there, and then the same thing is in the post as well.
Yeah. And I think on the video side as well, I mean, a lot of people get imposter syndrome, don't they, where they're kind of on video, they're scared, they're not used to being in front of lights, and you know, people need to realize that no one, you know, you speak to everybody in daily life. I mean, I used to have a problem about my voice, because I used to sort of think, well, I don't sound like that, but I actually do. But after you kind of get over yourself, you're like, well, actually, this is what people see day in, day out. So I shouldn't be embarrassed about going on camera and being me, because that's just who I am anyway. There's nothing I can do about it. And you know, yeah, you will always get some kind of trolls and a few idiots, I guess, online. But ultimately, you are the person. If you're a small business, or you know, or a medium-sized business, you are the personality or the people behind your business. So it's important that people see that, because otherwise you're some sort of corporate identity. You know, you go on websites as well, and there's just stock shots. That's all it is, and that doesn't really warm people up. If they can get inside your world and realize who you are and you're quite likable, then you're going to get more interaction and generate more business from it, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. It's that whole personality thing. I think it doesn't matter what you look like or what your voice is like. If you're talking about your business and you're passionate about it, that enthusiasm is going to come across, and that can be really infectious to people, especially if other business users pick up on it. They're like, oh, he's really engaged in what he's talking about. So yeah, as long as you're enjoying what you're talking about, and that comes across, then that's half the battle straight away. I much prefer organic videos, even like this, where you're just chatting and it's not all totally staged and everything else. There's a time and a place for that. But especially with smaller businesses, we want to see who the business is now. It's not about, oh, they've got a flashy logo and their color scheme's great and all that. That is important, but it's that, you've got to get your personality and your voice across.
Yeah. And I see a lot of businesses as well, when they kind of, they come to me and they go, oh, I want to be like so-and-so brand, and they've seen that brand. And then when they go on, they go on Instagram, and this brand's, this company or brand has got like 1 million followers and everything. And, you must see it as well, where it's not always, doesn't always meet the eye, does it? There's something that sometimes there's a huge following that doesn't quite add up.
Yeah, it's good to glean ideas from other places, but you need to be yourself. So yeah, you pick up tips and stuff like that. But yeah, it's the same when you look at influencers and things like that. You watch these people on Instagram and their video, it's all like, wow, their life must be so amazing. All their glossy pictures and their videos look really nice and their backgrounds are fantastic and they're doing all this wonderful stuff. But you're only seeing like a small snapshot of their day. You're not seeing all the other stuff where the kids are driving them mental and the house might be not quite so tidy behind the camera and all that sort of thing. It's that whole perception of reality, isn't it? I think people get sort of hooked up a bit on that. And even with businesses, you'll look at competitors and think, oh wow, their video is really polished, and yeah, they may have spent $2,000 on someone doing it for them and things like that, but it might turn out it's not as effective as your 2-minute video that you've done on your iPhone, just because of how they've come across.
Exactly. And I, you know, I see a lot of influencers, especially where they have these huge followings, but then when you actually look at the engagement levels on a post, it's very, very small. And I think that sometimes business owners get a little bit kind of, wow, you know, get a bit intimidated by it, but it's not all about the follower count, is it?
No, people get so hung up on, oh, I've got, that person's got 20,000 followers and I've only got 250 and things like that. But like you said, if you suddenly start looking into the posts and who's commenting and stuff like that, yeah, they may have, you know, 20 times the followers you've got, but they're getting literally 1 or 2 people commenting and they might get a few likes, but it's the commenting and sharing and saving of posts and all that that's much more important, that drives you up organically in timelines and things like that. So yeah, I'm always keen to stress, don't worry about the numbers, think about the quality of followers as opposed to the quantity. And you'll probably find a lot of them, there's even some companies still do it, they buy followers. So there's companies out, you can go and you can say, right, I want to buy 10,000 followers and it'll cost you a few £100 or whatever. And yeah, you'll just get bots and fake accounts and things like that. And yes, your number of followers goes up and it looks great. But when you look beneath the surface, there's not a lot going on. There's no substance.
No, I always use the analogy of golf. It's like drive for show, putt for dough. It doesn't matter how far you can hit the ball, but if you can't get it in the hole, which is like the problem with my golf game, it's totally irrelevant because, as I say, you have a bad score, and it's the same with digital, isn't it? You know, if someone's got 1 million followers, ignore that. Look at how much engagement they've actually got on those posts, and look at how many comments they're getting, because that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about that engagement, and if the people watching are need to think about, right, what actually interests customers, how can I keep them engaged, what are their real problems and what do they need to know about. There's an article I read quite a few years ago now, and I always come back to it, called 1,000 True Fans by a guy called Kevin Kelly. And he talks about being able to grow a business, but he actually writes the story in the kind of the example is a rock band, and he says, if you've got this small group of fans who absolutely love what you do, then if you keep in contact with them, keep them close, make them feel like VIPs, as you launch more products and more albums and more songs, they will literally buy everything from you, and that your revenue will just grow anyway through that. But then they will do your marketing for you and tell everyone else. And that's always the approach that I sort of say online is, focus on a small knit community. If it's on social media, for example, let's just build this community in your own backyard and, get those engagement levels up and start chatting to your customers and make sure it's not a one-way street.
Yeah, totally. It's all about relationships. It's, it's getting to know your fans or your customers and things like that, and tailoring everything you do to what they want to hear, and and helping them out and making them feel better. And then they become, like you said, they become your ambassadors and pass that on to everyone else. And it just organically becomes word of mouth, which is always going to be the most powerful sales tool, is always word of mouth. If people recommend you to other people, then they're going to use your service or buy your products because their friends told them how wonderful it is and how you've helped them out, things like that. So don't get hung up on the numbers and being the most popular and all that sort of thing. It's it's that whole, how are you benefiting them and how are you engaging with them?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Paul, we said we were going to keep this quite brief, so we'll close it in a minute. But let's just have one more question. Well, you mentioned something at the start, so about planning. Now, there's a lot of people out there that are either new to social media, believe it or not, or they're just starting their businesses and they're kind of thinking, right, where do they start, and what kind of things should they do in the planning phase that will help them? Because otherwise, if they're shooting from the hip and creating ad hoc content, it's going to be a bit disjointed, isn't it? What do they need to do you think, in your opinion? What do you do with your clients when a new client comes on board? How do you get started?
Well, obviously, the first thing we've mentioned before is find out where they are so that you know where you're going to be targeting stuff, then work out what platforms you're on. And then it's just things like setting up a monthly calendar. So have the days of the month. We work on Excel spreadsheets and things like that. So each day, pick a topic or work out how many times a week you want to post, what's realistic to you. There's so much noise out there about, you need to be posting every day, or Instagram, you need to be posting 3 times a day and all that. I think to begin with, certainly pick something that's realistic to what you're doing and your kind of time and your budget of time and everything else, because time is money. So pick maybe it's only 2 or 3 times a week, but you need to stick to that and be consistent. So plan out your first month, have your calendar and go, right, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday, we're going to do a post and post something out that's, it might be product based, but show the benefits. Wednesday might be a bit more of a fun post and try and start a conversation. And Friday's a bit more of a let's wrap up the week, say perhaps what's going on, a bit of news, that kind of thing. But then stick to that for the month. And then you've kind of got your theme for each bit, and try and make the content ahead of time. So if you're doing videos, just spend a morning and do 2 or 3, or perhaps if you're doing 2 a week, do your 7 or 8 for the month, and they're done, and do them in either 1 morning or 2 mornings so that it doesn't take up too much time. But try and plan it ahead like that, and then you can build from there.
Yeah, and just one final point as well is measuring, isn't it? Seeing what works, because obviously, if you're churning out lots of content throughout a month, it's worth looking back and seeing, okay, what posts or what content gets the engagement, because obviously you want to make more of that and get of that content, as opposed to just kind of merrily going on, just creating things that aren't really gaining any traction.
Yeah, totally. Especially like Facebook and stuff. Look at your business page insights and see what your engagement levels are, and then you can look and see what posts are working. And even over that first month, you'll be able to get a kind of a taster. It might take sort of 3 months or so before you get real good results that you can look at and say, right, this is working, that's not. But certainly even within those first sort of 4 or 5 weeks, you'll get an initial kind of feedback as to, the video's going really well, let's stick with that, and we'll do 2 every week and things like that. So look at the analytics, it's crucial.
Definitely. Good stuff. All right, well, that's a bit of a wrap. I hope everyone watching enjoyed that. Thanks very much, Paul. Paul, where can people find you if they need help with their social media?
So our website is elevatedonline.uk.
Okay, and what's your email address?
My email address is paul@elevatedonline.uk.
Oh, there you go. And my website address is grasshopperuk.com, and my email is matt@grasshopperuk.com. So thanks very much for watching. We'll be back again soon. This was the first one, so it might have been a bit ropey, but we had fun, didn't we?
Yeah, it was a good start, and we look forward to the next one. Yeah,
we'll keep it up. Cool. All right. Goodbye, everyone. See you soon.
Cheers.